Hello YouTube, Robert Alvarez the Psychic Witch and Durga the Cat, formerly known as Durga the Kitten, and I want to talk to you about Imbolc. So Imbolc is spelled capital I, M as in Mary, B as in Barry, O-L, C as in Charles, although some may see it more oftenly spelled ending with the letter G as in George. Imbolc is the witch's holy day between Yule, the Winter Solstice, and what's commonly called Ostara, which is the Vernal Equinox. The reason I'm talking about Imbolc is because yesterday was Friday, February 2nd, 2024. And in many magical traditions, either February 1st or February 2nd marks the beginning of the season of Imbolc. Some would say that Imbolc marks the beginning of spring. Although for those of us who live in places like New Jersey, where one sees and feels all four seasons, it doesn't feel like spring. Excuse me. It doesn't feel like spring. But it symbolizes the return of warmth. And traditionally, the goddess who is venerated is the goddess Brigit, an Irish goddess of healing, inspiration, and prosperity. I must tell you that I have never had an issue with the Celtic pantheons, the Irish pantheon, the Welsh pantheon, the continental Celtic pantheon. Those are the goddesses who were venerated, or rather the deities who were venerated when Rome occupied Britain. But I was initially never drawn to them. Now, as some of you may recall, I am an initiated companion of Grove Argentum. Grove Argentum, isn't that right, Durga, is a Manhattan, New York City-based chapter of the International Fellowship of the Goddess Isis. And I remember one year when I was still an outer court member, I had attended Grove Argentum's Imbolc rite. And I had the honor and pleasure of meeting the then current and great, but now the late and great, Alexei Kondratiev. Alexei Kondratiev was an Irish scholar. He was also a published author. In fact, he gave me a copy of his book, The Apple Branch, as a birthday gift several years before he died. But, and no, you will not see me selling that on eBay, so don't even ask. Durga is exploring and she's enjoying. But I was fascinated by how he spoke about Brigid, how he spoke about her as both a goddess and a saint, how he spoke about her with reverence, with love, with adoration. Of course, I eventually learned that Brigid was his mother goddess. And it explained why he spoke about her with such love, adoration, and reverence. And that is when my interest in the Celtic pantheons became a lot stronger. And of course, as a longtime fan of the Welsh White Witch, Stevie Nicks, I've always been a fan of Rhiannon. And now it's interesting because now I absolutely enjoy talking about and listening to the sacred stories of various Celtic deities. And I say Celtic in a general term. I personally have an issue when somebody refers to a deity as Celtic, but for the record, there are 6 Celtic countries: Ireland, Wales, Cornwall, the United Kingdom, or what I used to call England, and the other 2 that I don't recall offhand, but I will include them in the description box for this video so that you know that there are 6 Celtic countries, not just one. I'm like, why don't you call this deity Irish as opposed to Celtic, or Welsh as opposed to Celtic? It's just a thing with me. But Imbolc not only represents the return of warmth, not only symbolizes the return of warmth, it symbolizes the beginning of spring or the approaching of spring. Although for some, one could argue that Imbolc marks the beginning of spring. What's that old expression about the month of March? It comes in like a lion but leaves like a lamb, because when March begins, at least in the northern hemisphere, we're still in the season of winter. But by the end of March, we're in the season of spring. In fact, if memory serves, this year, the date of the vernal equinox is Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. I don't remember the time, but that is also the time of day or night is when the sun enters Aries, the sign of new beginnings, and the beginning of spring, at least in the northern hemisphere. I honor and acknowledge my followers and subscribers who live in the southern hemisphere, whether that's Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, and any of the other countries that I forgot about that live in the southern hemisphere. I actually have developed a reverence for Brigid over the last decade or so. She's become an important goddess to me. She is not a goddess that I normally call upon, but she is a goddess that I always think about, especially as we come to February 2nd, or as we're approaching February 2nd. There's somebody who's very well known in the tarot world. Her name is Joanna Powell Colbert. Yes, I think I said her surnames correctly. She is the creatrix of the Gaian Tarot, and she's also the person who illustrated the Herb Crafters Tarot. And she actually joined the Substack bandwagon, and she began writing a series of articles called The 9 Days of Brigid. And right now, it's not feasible for me to be a paid subscriber to her Substack. There are a lot of expenses that I have, and it just precludes me from being a paid subscriber to anybody's Substack, because off the top of my head there are several, including Courtney Weber, who wrote an amazingly beautiful and brilliant and comprehensive book about Brigid. I'm a little behind on her books, actually. I definitely need to buy her books. She has a wonderful book about another goddess of the Celtic pantheon, the Morrigan. I believe the Morrigan is also an Irish goddess, but I digress. Well, what are you looking at me like that for? I don't remember. I believe she's Irish. Don't scold me. Don't judge me. She's moved on. Durga has moved on from that moment. But then again, now that I'm petting her, she's going to be less judgmental towards me. Isn't that right, Durga? She's also digging the velvet layout cloth, so isn't that right? Did you want me to pick you up? She's just looking at me, and she's looking, well, if you want me to pick you. Well, you know what, I'll pick you up, because you look cute, and then you do what you want. How's that? Because she does what she wants anyway. So I would love to hear from you in the comments about what goddess you normally venerate during Imbolc, and also what's one of the things that you do for Imbolc. But for now, I want to give great gratitude and profound praise to all of the people, Courtney Weber, Joanna Powell Colbert, and others who've written about Brigid. I want to thank the late and great Alexei Kondratiev for inspiring me to welcome the goddess Brigid and all of the other Irish deities that have become so important to me, if not sacred to me. I want to thank Durga for being such a beautiful kitty. And I want to thank all of you in YouTube land for honoring who I am and for what I do, and for all the likes, comments, shares, and subscriptions to my YouTube channel. And of course, a huge and beautiful thank you to all of you who have already scheduled your sessions, including the one whose birthday is March 19th, and especially the one who's going to have a telephone reading with me tomorrow, Sunday, February 4th, 2024 at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. May the season of Imbolc bring greater warmth into your lives and the lives of those you love and adore, and bring you the promise of spring. I wish you a good night, a great weekend, and as always, stay in tune with your intuition, stay safe, stay well, stay hydrated, and stay tuned for the next video.